How Ukraine is reacting to Surovikin line to stop Russia. In the summer of 2023, Ukraine launched one of the most anticipated military offensives since the Second World War. Tens of billions in Western equipment, freshly trained brigades, the whole world watching. And within weeks, it was effectively over, not because Ukraine was outfought in open battle, but because it ran headfirst into something that changed the entire logic of the war. The Surovikin line. Named after the Russian general who ordered it built, it was a layered maze of trenches, dragon's teeth, minefields, and anti-tank ditches stretching hundreds of kilometers across southern Ukraine. Ukraine's armored columns, equipped with Western tanks and fighting vehicles, were shredded trying to cross it. The offensive that was supposed to split Russia's land corridors to Crimea ground to a halt in the minefields of Zaporizhia. Now, 2 years later, Ukraine is building its own version of that same line. And the question isn't whether it will hold. The question is whether Ukraine can survive long enough to find out. Act 1. The ground that is being lost. To understand why Ukraine is building these fortifications, you have to understand what is happening right now in Donetsk Oblast and how bad it has actually gotten. The Russian offensive in the east has not stopped. It has not slowed. It has adapted. Where it cannot break through with armored assaults, it sends small infiltration groups, 4 or 5 soldiers slipping through gaps in the line, bypassing fortified positions and creating breaches that larger forces then exploit. Where it cannot push defenders out, it buries them under glide bombs. Between 100 and 200 drop daily across the front. The Ukrainian rear is not safe anymore. Key logistics cities like Pokrovsk and Dobropilya are bombed regularly. Supply roads are under FPV drone surveillance. Every rotation, every resupply, every evacuation is a calculated risk. The city of Pokrovsk is now surrounded on 3 sides. Getting in or out means running a gauntlet. In the second half of July, Russian forces broke through Ukrainian defenses south of the city and reached Yubileyny Park, setting up ambushes on Ukrainian troops moving along the main defensive street. The reason the breach was possible was grimly simple. The brigade defending that approach, the 32nd Mechanized, did not have enough soldiers to man its own positions. The Russians found an empty gap and walked through it. This is not an isolated failure. It is the shape of the problem across the entire front. Ukraine is losing more people than it is gaining. The front line keeps extending. The reserves keep thinning. And Russia, absorbing its own enormous losses, keeps attacking because it knows that any pause gives Ukraine time to reorganize. Act 2. What the Surovikin line actually was. To understand what Ukraine is now trying to replicate, it helps to understand what made the original so effective. General Sergei Surovikin, nicknamed General Armageddon by Russian state media, was appointed to command Russia's forces in Ukraine in October 2022, following a series of humiliating retreats. His response was methodical and brutally practical. He constructed a layered defensive system across southern Ukraine, multiple lines of anti-tank ditches, fields of dragon's teeth concrete obstacles, dense minefields, and fortified infantry positions, all designed to channel attacking forces into kill zones, where they could be destroyed by artillery and drones. The key insight of the Surovikin line was not any single obstacle. It was depth. No single layer was meant to stop an attack permanently. Each layer was designed to slow the attacker, force them to stop and clear, and expose them to fire while they did. By the time Ukraine's brigades in 2023 had cleared the outer obstacles, they were already depleted, disorganized, and fully visible to Russian drones. They never reached the main defensive line. Ukraine watched this happen and took notes. Act 3. The Donbas line. The new Ukrainian fortifications, being called the Donbas line, began construction as early as March 2025. They run north of a corridor connecting Dobropilya, Kostiantynivka, and Sloviansk, stretching approximately 350 kilometers. This is not one wall. It is several overlapping lines, each designed to slow a Russian advance that has not yet arrived, but that Ukrainian commanders believe is coming. What makes this line different from the fortifications Ukraine built after 2014 or even in 2022 is that it has been designed specifically for the battlefield that exists today, not the one that existed a decade ago. The trenches are not long continuous lines. Long continuous trenches are death in the age of FPV drones. One drone locates the trench, and operators walk the explosion down it for hundreds of meters. Instead, the new positions are built as independent strongpoints, smaller, isolated, self-contained fighting positions that can be surrounded and still hold. If one falls, the line doesn't collapse. The next strongpoint is its own problem for the attacker. The positions are built inside tree lines and groves wherever possible. Forest cover degrades drone visibility and complicates targeting. Anti-tank ditches, dragon's teeth barriers, and barbed wire are layered in front. And critically, the line is anchored on terrain that works in the defender's favor: rivers, hills, urban areas used as natural backstops. It is, in other words, exactly what the Surovikin line was: depth, obstacles, channeling, attrition. Act 4. The problem that no fortification solves. Here's the paradox at the center of Ukraine's strategy. The Surovikin line stopped Ukraine in 2023, not because the concrete was stronger than Ukrainian armor. It stopped Ukraine because Russia had enough soldiers to man every position, rotate exhausted units, and seal every breach. Ukraine may be building a better fortification, but the line is only as strong as the soldiers standing in it. The chronic personnel crisis that allowed Russia to break into Pokrovsk through an undermanned position does not disappear because new trenches have been dug 50 kilometers to the rear. Taras Chmut, president of the Come Back Alive Foundation, said it plainly. Our statistics are negative. We are losing more people than we are gaining. There are no more people. There are no more resources. If brigades arrive at the Donbas line already depleted, already stretched across too much frontage, then the line becomes an expensive monument to a problem that was never solved. There's also the question of Russian air power. The glide bomb campaign has already pushed Ukrainian planners to place the new lines dozens of kilometers behind the current front, outside the effective range of Russian bombs as they existed in 2023. But bomb ranges have grown, and the assumption that a line built today will still be out of reach when it matters in 6 or 12 months may prove dangerously wrong. Russia, for its part, will not walk into these fortifications politely from the front. The playbook will be what it always is: cut the supply roads first, attack logistics nodes in the rear, starve out the defenders before assaulting the positions. The Donbas line will need not just defenders, but functioning supply chains, ammunition stocks, and medevac corridors, all of which will be targeted the moment Russian forces draw near. The logic of survival. The Donbas line is not a strategy for winning the war. It is a strategy for surviving it. Ukraine's calculation is stark and unsentimental. If Donetsk Oblast falls, and most analysts believe it will not this year, but cannot rule out eventually, the line behind it must hold. Losing Donbas cannot mean losing everything. The fortifications being built now are the answer to a question Ukraine hopes it will never have to answer at full scale. What the Surovikin line taught the world in 2023 is that in this war, ground can be defended almost indefinitely if you're willing to pay the price in preparation, engineering, and manpower. Russia paid that price in concrete and steel and time. Ukraine watched and learned, and is now doing exactly the same. Whether it will be enough depends on a single variable that no amount of engineering can substitute for: people. And right now, Ukraine is running out of them.